All knowledge is available to the body. But this knowledge which you are, which is an outcome of the food body, is not you. This beingness itself is the love. It is most natural, and therefore I love all others because I love myself. The fountain of my love for others springs from my love to be. The unmanifest is manifest through that waking, dynamic, manifest spirit. That is the state of the love to be. The wife is not devoted to the husband. She is devoted to that love to be. You have an earnest desire to be living in the body, but you have to dispose of this body, just as you eat delicacies, and the next day you have to evacuate it as fecal matter. In the same manner, you have to dispose of this body. My own condition is complete manifest consciousness, and the expression of the body is only the sum and substance of the vital breath, the language of the vital breath, the words, and the love of self. There is no other thing like Paramatman except I love. In that ecstasy, who is going to look at the body? Body becomes irrelevant. How many titles have been given to it, but what is it? Only that love for self. Always, forever. Your knowingness has been moving about, but you have limited it to your own body, and therefore you are killing it. Paramatman is not Maya. It is your real nature. What should one do about one's daily duties? You should attend to your duties. They are not personal. They are of the manifest consciousness. They belong to all. Try to expand yourself to infinity as the manifested consciousness. There is no other God but you. One day this body will drop dead. People don't think that death means completely unmanifest, but it is not so. It is not like that. When something is consumed or exhausted, it becomes more. It becomes manifest. Sri Krishna said, I reincarnate myself at every yuga, eon. But I say every moment I expand, every more I am created, I proliferate, and more every moment. I never seek anybody from anybody else. Whatever I want to get out of my own being. I worship that very principle I am, and demand what I want out of that. Because of that, all things are coming. His Majesty the Emperor has gone to sleep. It doesn't mean he is dead. You are not able to realize this knowledge because you hang on to the body. Only a realized guru can direct you. Without this body sense, I am perfect, total, complete. You will not be able to comprehend my talk. What is the cause of the waking state, sleep, and I amness? The chemical. When you utter that word chemical, do you consider yourself to be that? I have studied that chemical thoroughly, and I am not that. Everything is contained in it, but it is not me. Just as this flame is the quality of the burning of the gas, similarly, because of this chemical, there is the experience of the waking state, deep sleep, and knowingness. They are not your qualities. Various names are given to the chemical, Mulamayas, Sutra Pradam, etc. It is all illusion. There is no God, no individual soul, nothing. The primary illusion expresses itself through self-love, love for beingness. From deep sleep, you wake up. Similarly, the disciple who considers the words of the Guru as final and follows his words and does accordingly remains like that. Ultimately, he gets the knowledge of the self. Just as you wake up from deep sleep, you get that knowledge I love, self-love. It merges into the Parabrahman knowingly. When you meditate, you and that self-love should be one. There should not be any duality. The main problem with jnanis, those who intellectually have this knowledge, is their attachment to their relations and their belongings. Nobody dies. Death means finished. For example, a drop of water, when it evaporates, has become infinite. There is no death for anything. Everything finishes to become infinite. The Purusha is that principle from which everything flows, all the manifestation. It is the support for everything. When you know something, you have to become that. In order to know God, you have to become that. In order to know that Purusha, you have to be that. Maharaj was speaking earlier of attachments. What about attachment to the Guru? I find all other attachments are gone, but this remains. What do you mean, attachment to the Guru? You and Guru are one, not two. How am I to follow what Maharaj says when I have so many things to care for, family, etc.? Your consciousness is alone, taking care of everything. Look at your consciousness as God. The first thing you do after waking up is meditate on that consciousness, that I amness. Worship that consciousness for some time before you start your daily activities. Before you fall asleep at night, again abide in that consciousness, I amness. Be devoted to that, and in such a mood go into sleep. That consciousness which meditates on the self, that self will be revealed to you. People worship so many gods, but these gods are only concepts which have occurred to the mind. People say they want to save themselves. Save what? What are you trying to save? All your knowledge is dissolved here, so you can have no pride of being a jnani when you leave here. In the presence of the Maharaj, I feel there are no more questions. You feel that the doubts are dispelled. Still, the day is far off. Just wait. Can Swamiji suggest one thing so that we may enjoy eternal bliss? I have a very simple remedy, and that is that I am not the body. Had the world been real, there could have been some treatment, but it is not real. Whatever you do is of no use. Everywhere you see all this chaos. In spite of all efforts, you cannot stop it. It is in a continual state of flux, and it is all unreal. After listening to my talks, do you acquire and store knowledge, or is whatever knowledge you had being destroyed, becoming dissolved? Can I carry Maharaj to my home? I am just like the city of Bombay. Can you carry Bombay home with you? This experience of the world is happening to you spontaneously, not out of your efforts. Even your understanding of the Guru must come spontaneously. Nothing will stop. All process is going on without your effort. So many bodies are being created and dying. All actions for the running of the world are already happening. The process of creation of millions of bodies is already going on in the space. Out of the weeds, the grains have come. In those grains, the I amness is latently present. That phone message, hello, I am, is already there in that grain of food. If you create something out of your own efforts, only then can you destroy it. But this creation is not your effort. There are many moments in my life when I don't like the situation, and I want to change it. You may fight with the situation, but you are not the situation. When you start watching the mind, you know that you are apart from the mind, and you would not like to get involved with the fight of the mind, so naturally the friction will become less. In this process, you as an individual are not left at all. Try to understand that I am is a product of the saliva, guna, food essence product. The friction is the fight between that quiet witness and the world. The fight began when the words began emanating from the consciousness. Words have come out of you, and you embrace those words. You become the champion of the meaning of those words which have come out of you. You have a mountain of concepts and words. To get rid of these, you use other concepts. When you throw out all the concepts, including your primary concept, then whatever is. Stay put. in quietude. Are words necessary, or is it just the presence of Maharaj? No doubt, association with a sage is conducive to realization. Nevertheless, it must be followed up by questions and answers. There are always some doubts arising from the mind. So until all traces of mind are removed, you must clear them out by words. These days when thoughts come, I just turn away. I feel I stop them now. If you can do this, it is all right. But if they are flowing, let them flow. Not being involved in your thoughts, is that enough? Yes, that is the only thing, and whatever has to happen will happen. The very doing you have given up. So it is no more necessary to try to change yourself, to try to do better things. When you don't hang on to thoughts, you are no more a person. It makes me a little scared. Everything can happen. I can do crazy things. This is a common stage. All people go through this. Fear is a quality of the mind, and mind does not want to lose itself. Recite the Nama mantra. Hang on to the mantra. Because this is a stage where the mind is losing all support, therefore you give it the support of the mantra. The things that I don't like in myself, they derive from a thought as well. So I can let go of them also? Yes, don't say myself. That is also a thought. So in the end, it is as simple as that. It's just getting rid of thoughts. It's true. It is not a small achievement. You may feel that you are thought-free, but at some stage thought will pounce on you suddenly. Many so-called sages, although they attained that thought-free state, still had their fall. Just be as you are. Don't imagine or picturize. Your body and your image have changed continuously all during your life, and none of these images has remained constant. After 25 years, your body will give up this image and you will have an old person's image. Later on, that image also will go. If these images had been real, they would have remained. They are unreal. The I am principle has no form, no color, no design. Through these designs we enjoy or suffer, but nothing is real. Any experience you get is not real. Whether you are crying or laughing, this is the image for that moment only. The next moment it will be changing. Some people are very good at weeping, crying, lamentation, only for that moment. So long as the body is there, this passing show will be there, continuously changing, and finally, that very consciousness through which you see the world will quit. The days are numbered of this body and consciousness. If I have not fully attained when I die, will I have another birth? If you go with that concept will have another birth. You don't know what form that concept will take. Only that person will be visiting me whose destiny is being fully exhausted. Nothing of his destiny will be left. You are a lady from some far-off country. Why should you be visiting this place? Because your destiny is being annihilated. Consciousness is time-bound, so whatever I am, is it also time-bound? Or is there not something which is eternal? So long as the body is there, you are this consciousness. But once the body and consciousness go, you are that original state upon which all this has come as a temporary state. Your original state is changeless and permanent. The difficulty comes because you're all searching for that, forgetting that that is what you are. You, as the subject, are seeking you as the object. You are what you are seeking. The moment there is a pose, there is fear. Anyone who has assumed the pose of a seeker will be bound to follow the traditional practices of a seeker and the limitations. What is the purpose of all that I am saying? It is a direct attack on identification with the body-mind. So long as that identification is there, my direct attacks will continue. Once this disidentification with the body-mind takes place, Brahman will come with folded hands to your feet. Does this disidentification take place suddenly or gradually? It depends on how you look at it. If you are waiting for it, it will be gradual. When the last step is taken, it is sudden. When it does happen, you will realize the identity of the non-manifest and the manifest. They are one. There is no difference. The true knowledge can only come when all possible concepts have been given up, and can only come from within. Parabrahman has no beginning and no end. It is eternal, whereas this consciousness is time-bound. It has a beginning and an end. Just as you wake up in the morning and come to know that you are, similarly this has happened. Because I am, I woke up. If I was not, how could I have woken up? Parabrahman comes to know that it is. The consciousness is how Parabrahman knows that it is. Parabrahman is your eternal state. You cannot remember it because you have not forgotten it. It is your daily experience. You know it. There is consciousness. There is no question of I. It is. The life force is in the grain in a dormant condition. Understand that life force and do not condition it to any form. This beingness is not something which you can capture a handful of. It is manifest, like space. It is all over. All this profound talk is nothing but mental entertainment. As you go further into spirituality, you will realize that I am is the very God or soul of all infinite number of universes. But that I am is again entertainment. All my talks are conceptual entertainment. Up to what point in the past can my memory go? I was a small child, and I remember riding on the shoulder of someone, an elderly person. He was taking me on some hill, and I could see the sunrise. That is my first impression. Have you even given a thought to this? At what age did you get the knowledge of your own body? Suppose you started knowing yourself at the age of 4. Whatever actions took place prior to the age of 4 happened without your knowing, and there is no record in your memory of that. You have heard from others of things that happened, but you directly do not know. There is a scar, and it is said that I was bitten by somebody, but there is no memory of that. So many things happened before the child knew itself. In the first few years, the primary concept I am was there, but in a dormant condition. Later on, it started knowing itself. The jnani state is like the child state, when the child was not knowing itself. The apparatus through which the knowingness expresses itself is now quite different, but the principle is the same. The jnanis will have different ways of expressing. Ramana Maharshi used to wear only a loincloth, just washed, not ironed. But here I would like to see that there are no wrinkles. Very neat. There was another great sage who was not conscious of his body. He used to move about naked. Lord Krishna was also up to date like me, and very well dressed. People get lost in the external expressions of a jnani and try to imitate that instead of going to the presiding principle. Now I thoroughly know that very first moment. I know what is birth. Birth? What doership or authorship did I have? To enter or not to enter? Or to decide anything? When I say that I got the knowledge of my birth, do I really know directly what happened at that moment? This is all conceptual knowledge. Also, all knowledge since then is conceptual. There are sages or saints abounding all over, but they still aspire to be. They would like to continue their beingness. How long should I continue this waking state and deep sleep, waking state and deep sleep? So long as this cycle continues, the knowingness also will prevail there. Have you encountered anyone who is tired of this waking state and deep sleep state. In that waking state, you carry out a lot of activities, and when you are tired, you fall into sleep. In this continuous cycle, what is the advantage? It is said rarely somebody appreciates the skill of God. What is that skill of God? Where is that God? If you want to inquire about some skill, inquire about the skill of your parents. You have created a God because you want to beg from somebody, and that is what you call spirituality. I don't believe in that kind of God. I believe that God is that touch of I amness, as Maharaj says. If you really understood and digested what I have said, you would not set foot in this place. If I have understood what you have said, there is no need for me to come. It's all right, but let me ask you. Factually, it is like, what do you mean by facts? Even to understand that what I should do that thing which you cannot do. The world of Maya is built up of concepts only. I cannot change the world which is giving me pain. The whole cause of pain is this knowingness I am. When this knowingness was not there, was there any pain or pleasure? If you want to encounter God, dive deep into your own self. That is the very storehouse of everything. How does the dream state happen? In deep sleep, there is an apparent waking state in which that I amness feels itself waking up and creates a dream world. You know very well how you proceeded in this mess. You inquire into this and keep quiet. After listening to my wildly virulent talks, you may not come tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I tell you, again and again, you might run around and around the world, but nobody is going to give you the knowledge. Recede into your own self. Surrender to your own beingness, and that alone will give you all the knowledge necessary for you. No one else will. You don't inquire into this. You blindly follow the rituals of spirituality. You may be anywhere, but be honest. Be devoted only to your being. Is the witnessing done by that which is prior to consciousness, or does consciousness witness itself? Cross that bridge when you come to it. Don't worry about the principle prior to consciousness. You just be that consciousness. Are gods only concepts? Gods means consciousness only. Collect whatever you can in the absence of consciousness. We are not able to understand the state of a jnani. If the jnani has become one with the Absolute, where is the scope for the display of consciousness? We don't understand how a jnani can be Parabrahman and be here also. A jnani can transcend consciousness and be the Absolute on demand. He can come into consciousness because that particular body is still available. Through that body, communication takes place with the beings in consciousness. The example given in our scriptures is like this. You have an ocean and the water from the ocean in a pot. Now that pot is dipped into the ocean. The pot is still there, but the water in the pot merges with the ocean water. So that water does not feel any difference. But the water in the pot can also witness the pot. It has the advantage of being one with the Absolute and to use the body also. With this example, you are able to understand what the state of jnani could be. Understand beingness and all will be solved. It is all your speculation about the Absolute state from the grosser state. Presently, it is like a signboard indicative of the Parabrahman. The word Parabrahman is not Parabrahman. Your habit is to ask questions. A few words are flung at you, some concepts are given to you, and you say that you understand. The only theme of my talks is you. You know you are. How and why do you know you are? It is only about that which I talk. You have no authority over this consciousness. It has come by itself, and it will go by itself. You can't do anything with it. The whole idea of control is meaningless then. Yes, you have absolutely no authority over it. The very foundation is taken out from under us. All your moments of spirituality are based on the I am the body idea. This knowledge, I am, is going to remain for a short period. What about those who say they are the incarnations of this one or that one? Are they just ideas? This will be very clear to you when you remain in your real position. Until then, accept it if you like. Until you know your true state, you will accept all these hearsays because you don't know the truth. You need not go to that prior state. Presently, what are you? This primary concept, thrash it out. When you thrash it out, what you are prior to the concept is open. Normally, a jnani will not explain in such detail to a seeker. You have thoroughly studied the teachings of Ramana Maharshi. In his teachings, did you come across this aspect? The more I listen to Maharaj, the more I understand the teachings of Ramana Maharshi. Have you understood Ramana Maharshi? I can never understand, but he is the Absolute, not an object to be understood. I am not an object either. Yes, Ramana Maharshi is the Absolute. You are also that. The Absolute cannot be caught in that domain of your experience. Are you convinced? Yes. Why did this beingness of mine happen? What was the cause? You must get to know what this is thoroughly. What is the point of trying to find answers to these questions? Is it not sufficient for me to know that I am? That my beingness has appeared and will disappear? Why do I need to know all this? You must know. The knowingness is the outcome of what? The quality of what? It's a quality of food. Oh, yes, but when do you come to know of it? It is not my experience. This that I am, and the consciousness which is time-bound. What is the relationship? What is the concept of I with which you are trying to find a relationship? This is exactly where the misconception arises. In this concept of space and time, there is total manifestation. In that you consider that you are something separate. There is nothing separate. You are not part of the function of the total manifestation. As the Absolute, I am timeless, infinite, and I am awareness, without being aware of awareness. As infinity, I express myself as space. As timeless, I express myself as time. Unless there is space and duration, I cannot be conscious of myself. When space and time are present, there is consciousness. In that the total manifestation takes place, and various phenomena come into my being. I, by myself, awareness, descend into this consciousness, and in this consciousness I express myself in manifold ways, in innumerable forms. This is the crux, the framework of manifestation. There is no question of any individuality. Here I have a bag of apples. What is this? There is no difference between this fruit, a goat, or a human being. They are all food products. All three are food. All creation, every creature, is made up of the 5 elements, and the behavior of each creature depends on the combination of the 3 gunas. Satya, Rajas, Tamas. There is no question of being responsible for anything that happens in the world. It is only by taking delivery of responsibility that one suffers. The consciousness of being present, the 5 elements and the 3 gunas, that is the total of the universal manifestation. In your original state, there is no awareness. There is no awareness of awareness. Therefore, no question of knowledge. The knowledge comes only with the appearance of the body and consciousness. This knowledge is really ignorance. And whatever knowledge is based on that is all ignorance. You have been practicing spirituality for many years. What do you have in hand? I am consciousness. That is my profit. Is this profit permanent? Is that your true nature? I identify myself with the total manifestation. All that is it not only after you got your consciousness. Go back to your state before this consciousness came upon you. First, you identify with the body. Then you identify with the consciousness. After a while, you continue to be the consciousness. But the trap is that you will think you have become a jnani. Even being in consciousness is time-bound. The original state is before the consciousness came upon you. In one case, the knowledge was given. It was understood, and the person became that in one day. Another took 1,000 years, and also reached that state. Is there any difference? What was originally something which I loved, now I no longer want it because I am aware of my true nature. I no longer need this consciousness, even for 5 minutes. At the end of your life, you will be prepared to pay 5 lakhs of rupees for an extension of even 5 minutes. I am not prepared to give even 1 rupee. I have lost all love for this manifested world. You must maintain this knowledge I am in proper order. I quarrel with my people if they don't keep these utensils in proper and clean order. Suppose this towel is left unwashed. Then I will play hell with whoever is responsible. All the dirt which is not the towel should be removed. Similarly, I am is the tool to which you get all the knowledge. You worship that I am. Remove all the adulterations, the dirt. How to worship the I amness? That knowingness alone points out all the dirt which is imposed on it. Even the space is not as pure as the knowledge I am. Innately, the world is very pure. It is rendered dirty because you identify with the body. Since you do not recognize your I amness in its purity, you refer to various books and sages to get an identity. I'm afraid of losing my beingness, my existence. Where's the question of worry? Even the Para-Brahman does not know itself. When we come to the conclusion that you are not, I am not, what is left is said to be Para-Brahman. But what is Para-Brahman? You can't describe it, so you are silent. I am also silent. Para-Brahman cannot be compared with anything. Is Nama Japa useful? By all means do it, and its worth will be proved in due course. You have to abide in that japa. It is no use conceptualizing what benefits you are going to derive from it. Follow it and realize the benefits. Even if the one following Nama Japa is like a donkey or dud, he will become a great sage. That power is there in the recitation of the japa. When that person comes across a Satguru, the sage tells him, you need not take care of yourself because you are that immanent principle I am. You need not take care of anything. Just be and everything will be taken care of for you. It is a pity that you depend so much on hearsay and you don't try to investigate for yourself. Your knowledge is confined to your body and borrowed knowledge. All the activities of the world are going on because of this I amness. It is the source which creates the world. Understand that I amness first. Only then can you transcend it. First of all, be that I amness. This I amness is a function of nature, a product of the 5 elemental food body. It knows itself. It loves to be. With the aid of this knowingness, get to know yourself. Many eons have come and gone, but no person could retain his identity or his memory perpetually. It is gone with the departure of the body. The 5 element essences, plus the 3 gunas, means a person. With that, this knowingness comes, the memory I am. This personality is sustained by the provision supplied by the 5 elements. So long as the provisions are supplied in proper order, the body and I amness will be there. Once the supply is stopped, that touch of I amness is gone. That which has come to see Maharaj, do you recognize that? It is the body, or something outside the body. Inside or outside, I don't know. Very good reply. Keep beside the body and describe that. I can't describe it. Since you can't describe that, what is the use of that? No use. Once you understand this, you will get the truth. The one which is listening, which you do not know, is you, and the one which you know as you are not. The highest purpose of spirituality is the Paramatman, that knowledge that indwells the body I am, and that cannot be described. When you firmly agree that this is right, does it mean that you have the spiritual wisdom? Who can get spiritual wisdom? Except you. Who could that be? You, and you alone. Who could ask, who am I, but you? If the questioner I is not there, who is going to ask questions? This is the culmination of spiritual knowledge for you. You need not come again. I like to be with Maharaj. You can sit here, now whether you live 1 year or 1,000. The result will be this only. Maharaj answers my questions before I ask them. Initially you accept what other people say, but in due course, whatever is accepted is thrown overboard. I cannot have any experience of how beingness came into being because I have no knowledge of what existed before being. This knowledge is very simple, and at the same time very profound. You will know all this process, the appearance of the knowingness, and finally its appearance. The one who understands this reaches the state of Satguru. But an ordinary person cannot understand this. Satguru is not the child of human parents. To know these secrets, to understand these secrets, you surrender to that very principle I am. And that consciousness alone will lead you to this. Presently, stabilize in the consciousness. If you don't do that, your very concepts will be very dangerous to you. They will throttle you to death. The knowledge you are is the source of all energy, the source of all gods, of all types of knowledge. Having heard these talks, you need not come again. You have only to abide in that consciousness you are, that very dynamic principle because of which everything is. Stabilize yourself therein. Confirm your stability there. You are only that. This is the simplest method. You know you are. Just be there. I want direct experience of the ultimate. The absolute cannot be experienced. It is not an objective affair. When I am unicity, then that is pure awareness, which is not aware of its awareness, and there can be no subject and object. Therefore there can be no witnessing. Any manifestation, any functioning, any witnessing can only take place in duality. There has to be a subject and an object. They are two, but they are not two. They are two ends of the same thing. When the consciousness stirs, duality arises. There are millions of objects, but each object, when it sees another, assumes the subjectivity of the absolute, although it is an object. I, as an object, perceive and interpret all the other objects, and I assume that I am the subject, and the witnessing takes place. Why does consciousness stir? What is the cause? Without any cause, spontaneously it happens. There is no reason. That consciousness is universal. There is no individuality. But when the consciousness stirs in a particular form which has also arisen spontaneously and starts functioning in that form assumes that it is an individual, and what is unlimited limits itself to a particular form, and the trouble starts. Let us say that someone has become a jnani. But what was it to begin with? It was that sour, bitter principle, that secretion because of which the consciousness has taken place. That very principle, the knowledge I am, has developed, grown, and become sweet. It matures and becomes the manifest jnani state. But what is that? It is the product of the 5 elemental food essence. When that goes, what remains? The absolute which does not know itself. The desire for liberation is also a desire, isn't it? Don't talk about liberation. Talk about yourself, what you are. When you understand that, both knowledge and ignorance disappear. You only require knowledge so long as the ignorance is there. A knowledgeable person can tell anything to an ignorant person to remove his ignorance. For that person, he takes the aid of the so-called worldly knowledge, concepts, and both the worldly conceptual knowledge and the ignorance go simultaneously. And the jnani will give you any concepts to remove your ignorance. This I amness is the knowledge, and you are embracing that. To remove that, he gives you all these concepts to understand that you are not this I amness, which is an outcome of the food essence product. Once you realize that, whatever concepts he has given you together with this I amness are to be thrown out. What remains is the absolute. This is the actual state of affairs. You can never say, I am like this or I am like that. You are without knowledge. Rarely will one understand this and transcend the domain of consciousness. After listening to my talks, you think that it is all very simple, but it is not that easy.